Today I will try to talk about the things that influenced Bangla literature. Now, literature, being the reflection of life, is influenced by anything that influences normal life. From the old ages, the life of Bengali people have been influenced by a lot of things. Now, if we look at the uh, ancient period, at that time, literature was mainly influenced by religion. Religion influenced the life of normal people, and people were very religion conscious. They created poems, they wrote their uh, daily rituals and their customs, everything according to their own religion. And because at that time many cultures were colliding together to establish their dominance in the Indian subcontinent region. So the collision created a mixture of cultures. We also see that the poems of the time are mainly the dominant form of the literature. Literature of the ancient times mainly consisted of poems. Now, when we look at Bangla literature, we see that it is towards the beginning is mainly poems heavy. If we see at Chorjapad was mainly poems. Poems or songs. They were poems, but they were singed. People sang those poems. And these poems mainly describe the norms, the customs of the society, of the then society. When it came to the Middle Ages, people still followed the religious norms when creating literature, but in the Middle Ages we see that there is a big influence of the Middle Eastern culture. It is because the rulers of the Middle Eastern countries, they were successfully able to create a dominion in the Indian subcontinent, and they brought their culture with them. They wanted their culture to flourish in the subcontinent, and in the Middle Ages the local literary figures or the people that lived here for a long time, or they mainly followed the Sanatan religion, and they created their literary work following the religious folklores of that time. But the Muslim literary figures, they started translating works from Middle Eastern countries, that the works they translated are somehow connected with the religion, and because this religion, Muslim religion, does not have any deities or demigods or any other gods, Muslim literature mainly focused on people and their stories. But on the other hand, if we look at the Mongol kabyas, they were dominated by gods and goddesses, and the deities still controlled the common people's life in those literatures. So in the Middle Ages, both the form of literature, both the kind of literature existed together. On the one hand, some literatures glorified the dominance of religious gods, and on the other hand, some literatures glorified the existence of people. Now, all of these mainly happened in the form of poems. Poems were the main dominating form of literature. Now, as time progressed and we entered the modern era, we see that different forms of literatures start entering the Bangla sphere, and Bangla literary figures start to create literature in different forms. Prose becomes more prominent, and short stories also start to emerge. We see parodies, we see stories describing the life of people, common people, and printing press starts becoming available to a wider range of people. At the same time, because of the revolution, education becomes cheaper for everyone. So this time, during this time, a lot of people had the privilege, had the opportunity to receive education, and the colleges like the Hindu college educated a lot of people, and from those people came prominent some of the prominent figures of Bangla literature. Michael Madhusudan Datta was a prominent figure, and he was a very interesting person. He was influenced by the Western literature, and he, at the beginning of his literary career, attempted to create several works influenced by Western culture, and he used English as his medium of choice. But later in his life, he realized that only his own mother tongue, only his mother tongue can give him the result he always wanted. And he realized his connection with the people of the region, of the Bangla region. And people like Madhusudan Datta created epic poems, created sonnets, dramas, and enriched our literature. In the modern times, the influence of English literature can be seen widely in Bangla literature. People creating literature at the modern time, they studied English literature, and they were inspired by some of the prominent works of English literature, and we can find translations or adaptations of English literary work in Bangla literature. This is how many things influenced our literature. Bangla literature is comparatively young, and still Bangla literature has created a lot of works, prominent works, big works, and it has a lot of potential in the future, that it will create a lot more works like it has produced in the past. Thank you for watching the video. Bye.